This is the Fiido electric foldable bike. It has fat tires, it has a full automatic mode, and also it goes 30 kilometers per hour and has a very attractive price. So let's get started. Okay, so before I explain to you how to unlock the full potential of the motor on the Fiido M1 electric bicycle, let's start with the fact that, hold on a second, this box is huge! And the reason for that is that it comes pretty much pre-assembled. Once you cut the box open, we find most of the accessories. The first one is a UK adapter. In the small box we have the charger, some hexagon keys, the power cable and some paperwork. Time to get the saddle out first, and then we have the foam that's protecting the bike pretty good. You might want to get some help to get the bike out of the box as it weighs around 25 kilograms. And once it's out, there are just a few things that we have to take care of. The handlebar, for example, which is pretty easy to install. This saddle we can slide in and fix easily as well. The only slightly more tricky thing is the front wheel, but because it uses mechanical disc brakes, installing the front wheel became a bit easier than wheels with regular brakes. And there it is, the Fiido M1 e-bike, up and running in less than 5 minutes. I've got mine from geekbuying.com, and in case you want to check it out, visit the link in the video's description. The Fiido M1 is a foldable electric bike with fat tires and has quite a few interesting specifications. The first one is the dual shock absorption. The front fork is an unbranded one and has a 55mm off travel with adjustable rebound and a lockout function, while the rear shock is from the Zen brand and has up to 35mm off travel. There's also a 36 volt, 12.5 amp hour battery that's removable. The next one is the 3 riding modes, a pure electric mode, a riding mode and an electric power assisted mode. Second to last is the dual disc brakes, and last but not least a 250 watt brushless motor. And here's the interesting part, because out of the box the bike goes 25 km per hour, because that's the speed limit for most EU countries. But with a simple trick, we can unlock the full potential of the 450 watt brushless motor. Make sure your bike is turned off. Hold down the brakes and press the throttle. Then you turn on the bike and release the brakes and throttle after 5 seconds. And then you should get this E004 message and you're good to go. That was easy, right? So what do I think of the Fiido M1 electric bike? It's a bit of everything, so let me explain. One of the USPs is the ability to be folded, and when it's folded the M1 measures 960 by 790 by 450 millimeters, which makes it a whole lot easier to get it into your car or on a train. Now, one thing that I'm missing is a clip to keep the wheels together. With 25 kilograms, it's 10 kilograms more heavy than other e-bikes from Fiido, for example the D2S, but that one is focusing more on commuting, for example. The fat tires are 4-inch and create more friction and resistance, which negatively affect the battery and range. Therefore, Fiido increased the battery capacity to 36 volt, 12.5 amp hour, and even though the range is okay-ish considering the weight and fat tires, charging still takes just under 9 hours. The battery is removable though when the bike is in a folding position. Now to come back to the tires, it looks pretty dope, and that's because the thickness is accentuated. These wheels are 20 inch, not the typical 26 or 29 inch you normally find on mountain bikes. And speaking about the mountains and the earlier mentioned 25 kilograms, If you run out of juice, you're probably not gonna enjoy riding the hills that much anymore, because it's gonna be a tough task. However, I live in the Netherlands, so I will never have that problem, because that's the flattest country on earth, and therefore, unfortunately, I can also not share with you how this bike performs in the mountains or on steep hills. You will probably not end up with an empty battery quickly, as Fiido claims an absurd range of 100 kilometers. And in my test, with good roads, with my 80 kilograms and normal weather conditions, the range is often between 50 to 60 kilometers. And for off-road conditions or the full electric mode, you can slash that range in half. Unlike many other e-bikes, the motor is found in the rear wheel. The motor is made by Shangda and there isn't much information available for other parts of the bike. What I did notice is that it uses a cadence sensor rather than a torque sensor, which has an impact on power delivery because it's more jerkier and less natural. Other than that, there's a 7-speed Shimano cassette and a 52-tooth chainring, so you have a range of gears for on and off-road riding.
Given the weight and the fat tires of the Fiido M1, it is still surprisingly sprintly.
The motor offers a good amount of torque and easily got me to 20 km an hour under just 7 seconds in the full electric mode. In the highest gear setting, at 30 km per hour, you can still pedal along without the cadence hurting your legs. And to get your bike up and running, you have to insert the key at the bottom of the mainframe.
And that's kind of a strange place.
While the horn is built into the front light, it's still missing a rear light, which is required by many EU countries. So that's kind of strange.
Unlike quite a few e-bikes, the M1's display is actually quite nice and easily readable outside in bright sunlight.
Unlike quite a few e-bikes, the M1 has a pretty display installed on the steering wheel. It's bright enough to see in sunny weather and shows your speed, the mode, battery level and has an odometer.
So for who is this bike?
I think it's for someone that wants to have a cool looking bike that wants to use it for multiple reasons. And whether that's for commuting during the weekdays, touring during the weekend and occasionally maybe going off-road, that's totally up to you.
And what do I think?
Well, first of all, I think it's a really awesome looking bike. It's fun and comfortable to ride. But also I believe it's a bit of everything. Build quality is more than fine, there's no rattling and everything seems to be well put together. Once unlocked, the bike goes faster and the folding mechanism works fine. The display is bright and looks good, the tires are thick and the bike is heavy, but the battery is much bigger than normal and the range is therefore very acceptable considering the weight. The only downsides are the cadence sensor, which is kind of annoying at times at high speed, and I would love to see a torque sensor, as well as maybe a rear light, which is required by most EU countries, and maybe some mudguards. And last but not least, who or what is Fiido? Fiido is based in Shenzhen, China, and is a relatively new name in the electric bikes world. From its range of 7 bikes, the M1 is the only full suspension model aimed at off-road riding. Geekbuying has a partnership with them and provides free shipping to any EU country because it ships from their EU warehouse and is therefore tax-free. In short, I think the M1 is a great all-round foldable electric e-bike that has some proper off-road aspirations. I was afraid for the extra weight, but the motor seems to cope with it pretty well, as well as the battery and the range. I also have to say that it's not fully made for extreme off-road nor your daily commuting, because there are better e-bikes for that, and therefore it's a little bit of everything and nothing. At least the looks are really awesome. Alright, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did so, please consider to give it a like and maybe subscribe. If you have some comments or questions, drop them down below. It's right next to the link where you can check out more information on the M1 from Fiido.
Thank you so much for watching this video and I hope to see all of you in the next one.